Welcome to Pensar Basketball Live, and that was a tough watch. I'm not going to lie. That was a tough watch if you are only focusing on the results, and we're not a results-based or results-focused podcast. We are a process-focused podcast. So today you're going to see a lot of film from the Raptors guys. Now, if you're sleeping under a rock and you don't know about this, I got news for you. Jacoby Walter, Jamal Shead, and Jamison Battle each made their debut for the Raptors 905 today, and it was pretty great. All three of them performed really well. And our resident hopeful potential center of the future, Ulrich Shamshay, did a lot of really cool stuff too. If you were at the game, or if you just want to talk about the game, if you were one of the 800 plus live viewers who are watching this game on YouTube, please feel free to call in. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about what we saw from the 905. I would love more than anything for we as a fan base, especially our community specifically, to get behind the Raptors 905. They are amidst a very tough losing streak right now. They got the same team, the Long Island Nets, who were on their own losing streak coming into this game, 3-0, and they got AJ Lawson tonight. So that was tough. But let's take a look at the box score, and we'll look at the film right after. But this is the box score. Once again, the the box scores on the G League site are a little bit of a mess sometimes. They don't post all the team stats, but we'll take a look at it here. The Raptors started 4 rookies. Okay, this is a really young team. And to those who don't have the full context of how to evaluate talent in the 905, this might have felt like a bit of a gut punch, but it wasn't. I promise you, there was a lot of good stuff to take away. Charlie Brown Jr., who had, I believe, 28 points in the last game, had 12 tonight. He was a negative 16 on the court. Jamison Battle was dead split even, 15 points on 6 for 13 shooting. The 905 really struggled from 3, so it's a good thing that Charlie Brown and Jamison Battle hit 2 apiece. And it's a great thing that Jacoby Walter and Jamal Shead combined for 4 threes because they didn't really have them from other places. Tyreek Key, who's a really good three-point shooter for the he played for the Tennessee Volunteers. He went 2 for 4, and if you remember, Tyreek Key is the guy who hit the big game winner in the game that the Raptors 905 won in their opener. But yeah, Jamal Shead, he was awesome. He had 13 assists and 11 points, and he was shredding the defense all night. Jacoby Walter, we're going to do a lot of Jacoby Walter because I was so impressed. Everything he did tonight really was impressive, and he looks so twitchy, and you see the eye, you see the potential. Ulrich Shamshay, if you want a real positive tonight, other than the fact that he fouled out and only had 4 points, well, he had 4 awesome blocks. 3 of them we're going to look at. He had 10 rebounds, including 3 big offensive rebounds. He made a couple of really great dimes, and he was a team leading +9 in a game that you lost by damn near 20. And Eugene off the bench had 18 points. Amaruyai, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Kennedy Chandler, I don't think he played very well. Some people were texting me at halftime saying, Rob, Kennedy Chandler needs to come to the Raptors. I'm like, chill on that stuff. So that's what they got. Jonathan Mogbo did dress. He was dressed. He was on the bench, but he did not play. And for the Long Island Nets, they had Dariq Whitehead in the starting lineup. He was a former #1 recruit, played at Montverde. He had 7 points. AJ Lawson lit him up. 11 for 24, including 5 for 13 from 3, and he had 37 points. And Kendall Brown had 21. Killian Hayes had 17. He got going a little bit later in the game. And Tyson Etienne had 12, alongside 5 assists. Overall, they outperformed the hell out of this team in the second half, but it's worth noting that in the first half, the Raptors 905 were leading after almost a dead even first quarter, 37-36. The Raptors 905 absolutely turned up the defensive pressure and were really efficient offensively in that second quarter, winning at 29-23. They walked into halftime with all the vibes, all the lead, and then they came out in the third quarter, and they were competitive for a bit, like 3-4 minutes. And then I want to say around the 7-minute mark or so, it was just boom. And there wasn't really much of a timeout or much of an adjustment or much of a lineup. So you can tell like the results aren't really all that important. Winning these games is maybe not all that important for the Raptors 905. But the Raptors 905 kind of, they held steady in the fourth, but they just could not overcome that massive deficit in the third, in which they were outscored 38-17. Okay, now we'll take a look at some of the film. Give me 1 second here. How are you guys doing? Any thoughts? Thought I saw Mogbo on the bench. Yeah, he was on the bench, but he did not play. Johnny A saying Shed with 13 assists. Nicey. Absolutely. HC said, you got to be a real fan to watch this over the Nuggets Mavs. Thanks for the shout out, man. Okay. We got to take a look at the film, man. And I promise you, like the player that really stood out to me, honestly, apart from Jamal Shead just dissecting the shit out of this defense, I knew he could do that. And it's not that I didn't know that Jacoby could do the stuff that he did tonight, but watch Jamal Shead really shred and just give me y'all can see that, right? If I maximize it, you can see it better. Okay, perfect. So here's Jamal Shead, and he did this relentlessly. Okay. And that's Killian Hayes trying to guard him, and Killian Hayes just kind of gets lost a little bit. Jamal Shead is going to have no problem finding Jacoby Walter, and Jacoby Walter, beautiful release. Now, it's worth noting that last year, after quite a few NBA reps, Grady Dick went down to the G League and he struggled immensely. And the fan base pretty much lost their minds. But it's worth noting that Jamal Shead and Jacoby Walter did not struggle at all in their opener. They might have been the best players for the Raptors, 905 for sure. So that was the first play, or that was the second play. Here's the first play, Jacoby Walter's first three, and again created right off of Jamal Shead penetration. Jacoby weak side corner, defender doesn't recover. He must not have read the scouting report, but just a really consistent release. And look, Jacoby's been shooting really cold in the for the main team. And I got to tell you, like he's a really good shooter. Like he's a really good shooter. He's not going to continue shooting cold. But throughout this film analysis, just really watch how Jacoby moves off the ball. And imagine how much that's going to help someone like a Scotty or even an evolving playmaker like Grady or RJ find him consistently, because he is very active and he is really athletic. This was a great pass by Jamal Shead to find Ulrich for his first and, well, one of two baskets that he made tonight. That was great. Nothing too egregious to see there. Now, I love that the rookies are just all connected, right? It was like almost every pass that Jacoby got tonight was from a rookie, and it was really cool to see. There's another one, just, a dime magnet, right? And you need this. You need this. You need a table setter at the 905 level. The Raptors haven't had one. The Raptors 905 has not had a genuinely like good point guard at the 905 level. Jeff Doughton was probably the last really good one, but prior to that, it's been like Fred VanVleet. Prior to that, like it hasn't. There haven't been a lot of good ones. So here's Ulrich in the corner to Dylan Disu, and that's the first good thing that he does, because he got the pass from Jacoby Walter. He immediately, like, it was a quick snap decision right out to Dylan Disu. Is that Dylan Disu, number 9? I don't think that's Dylan Disu. Who is number 9? Wow, I'm confused. Okay, we're gonna call him number 9 because I cannot remember off the top of my head who number 9 is. Someone correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. I don't think that's Dylan Disu, but nevertheless, Ulrich is going to get the rebound, one hand rebound, and he's going to be patient, right? And he's going to reset this to Jamal Shead. Jamal Shead is going to penetrate. The ball gets poked away from behind. I believe that's Tariq Whitehead. He's going to lose it. And Ulrich, right place, right time. And this would be his fourth and final points of the game. Didn't have a ton of opportunities with the ball, but that's perfectly okay. That's not what we're looking for with Ulrich necessarily right now. We're looking for the full package. And there's a lot of good to talk with Ulrich defensively, as a playmaker, all of it. Okay, let's take a look. There's a little bit more Jamal Shead just doing cool stuff with the basketball, man. Penetrates here, and look at Jacoby Walter cutting behind the defense, getting around the defense, and finishing with that reverse layup. Really smart, man. Like, it just, you try to think about it and you're like, man, with a little bit more space, how much is a movement shooter who understands how to play without the basketball this well at the age of 19, mind you, how well is a player like that going to function? And this is Jamal Shead just kind of patiently waiting for the defense to fall asleep and catching his best shooter in the corner. And here's Jamison Battle. He's gonna miss the obvious pass to Ulrich. He could have easily passed this to Ulrich and it would have been a dunk, but he's gonna reset, pass to Jamal Shead. Jamal Shead definitely traveled there, but Jamal is not going to be one to get rattled, and he's going to finish for the layup here. So I don't know. Like, I mean, that's a mixed bag. Like on the one hand, great pass from Jamal Shead to Jamison Battle, and then on the second side, it's like, hey, like Jamal Shead, nice finish, but I would have loved to see that little dump off to over Shamshay for sure. Okay, let's move on. Okay, now this one was a really cool one. Okay, so Urish is I mentioned it in the summer league tape. His passing is probably what separates him from a prospect like Yves Missi. Missi is definitely further along physically in terms of understanding the game and all that stuff. But I got to tell you, vision, hand-eye coordination, proprioception, all these things, these are really hard things to develop. So if a prospect doesn't have it at 17 or 18, it's very unlikely they're going to get significantly better at it when they're 21, 22. And Ulrich has this knack for seeing the court pretty well. Like sometimes he'll make mistakes and we'll look at one of those mistakes that he made tonight. But for the most part, he really does map the court really well and he understands where his teammates are. So here Jacoby is going to airball this three. And Ulrich is once again those great hands. How do you do that? How do you gather the ball with one hand? Easy. You have great hands. And that's a big thing for a big. So he gathers it with one hand, fumbles it a little bit. He's going to fake the pass to Jamal Shead, right? He's not going to pass to Jamal Shead. Do you know why he didn't pass to Jamal Shead? Because he saw the defender creeping up behind him and he thought that the pass might get picked off. And what's super cool about Ulrich, and this is probably my favorite Ulrich play, offensively at least, is that he doesn't panic here. The defense is sort of ganging up on him. He doesn't like travel. He doesn't panic and throw the ball away to somebody. He patiently waits. And then he just makes the simple read to Jacoby Walter as the Nets fall asleep. And I love that pass so much. And the commentators, if you watched it live, they said, is that Magic Johnson out there? I mean, it's such a simple pass, but you got to realize there's so many bigs who don't make that pass. Now, here comes a little bit more Ulrich. And if you watched our last breakdown of Ulrich, you know, like this dude is a demon when it comes to blocking the shot. And he does not need to get up before you to do it. Look at how far behind this play he is. And he's going to block this with no problem. And what I mentioned last time, he can block it with both hands, which I love. And he almost always keeps it in bounds. That's a huge advantage for your offense, but it's also a huge advantage for your defense. Let me tell you why. We count blocks all the same. If he blocks this into the fourth row, we're going to count it as a block. Doesn't matter, right? But if he blocks it into the fourth row, number one, they get possession. It's almost like you block it, but it's almost like a turnover for you because you had possession, your hand, and then you knocked it out of bounds. Maybe to show the offensive player up, maybe to intimidate them, maybe to flex a little bit, maybe to catch your breath. But when you keep it in bounds, when you just tip it and you keep it in bounds, not only are you doing your defense a big service because you don't have to reset your defense now and have to guard them, you're doing your offense a huge service too because now you have transition. And likely the player who got blocked is either falling out of bounds or something. So you might even have a power play. Shot blockers who keep the basketball in play are my favorite types of shot blockers. And Ulrich consistently keeps it in play. So I love that. And this led to transition offense for the Raptors. Moving on from that, again, a lot of plays, guys, and you know it sucks in a way to do these film breakdowns. I gotta tell you, there's a catch-22 to these film breakdowns. Is on the one hand, I love doing them because y'all get to see this play, y'all get to see the game the way I'm seeing the game, and I get to explain it and sort of relive it with you. On the other hand, I kind of hate it because there's an immediacy of how I gotta watch it in real time. Plus, I gotta be all also clipping it. I almost wish I had an assistant who could just clip all these plays for me and put them together so I could watch the game in peace like a fan. But nevertheless, I wouldn't trade it for the world. And I'm happy that, thousands of people are going to get to watch these games. And maybe those people didn't watch these games live. So it's good to be able to share this with you. But please do give this video a like. I would very much appreciate it. Here's Jamal Shead. It's going to give it to Charlie Brown. And this is, a screen here that Ulrich is going to set, but it's not going to be very effective. But it's effective enough because the defender miscommunicates this so badly. And Jamison Battle does not need that much space to hit the shot, right? So just defender getting very confused there. But yeah, this was Jacoby's halftime interview. I'm not going to play it out just for copyright stuff, but if you want to watch it, this is the entire Raptors team showed up, man. There's Scotty, there's Cowboy Bruce, there's Davion Mitchell, there's Emmanuel Quickly, Ochai Baji, Grady Dick. Literally, the entire team was there, and everyone was commenting that they couldn't believe that the entire Raptors team showed up on a Friday night. You know, these are young men. They have lives, they have plans, they have families, right? Some of them have families. So the fact that they're willing to come on a Friday night as young men, young millionaires in one of the coolest cities in the world, shout outs to Toronto, and spend this night rooting on their rookie teammates shows you exactly who these players are, right? And shows you what this culture is. Now watch this. This is one of my favorite Ulrich sequences, and it's a really good one. So first he's going to contest this three. As you can see on the screen, he's contesting this three, and he's going to force a miss. So this jumper is going to be damn short. Sorry, it goes long due to the contest. Now, he's going to get back right into position. He's not going to do the lazy, stupid thing, which a lot of defenders do after they make successful defensive play, is they just kind of stand and watch and wait for somebody else to get the rebound. No, he realizes, okay, they have the ball. Now the play has reset. Now what do I have to do? And what does he do? What he always does. He's like, it's like Pinky in the Brain. It's like, what are we going to do tonight, Ulrich? The same thing we do every night. We're going to make life a living hell for every single offensive player who tries to come into my paint. This guy has like a real nasty streak to him. And I got to tell you, like, I noticed this very early in his tape last year that he just is very fearless and he has like a real aggression to him. And again, when we're talking about things you cannot teach, when it comes to bigs, a lot of them are soft. I'm going to tell you that the 100% truth. A lot of them don't want contact. A lot of them don't want to hit the ground. A lot of them don't want to put their body on the line. A lot of them, they don't want to dive for loose balls. They don't want to bump and grind on the rebound. This guy wants all the smoke. And when he gets stronger, he's 18 years old. He's an 18-year-old doing this against grown men right now. When this guy gets stronger, his combination of balance, coordination, hand-eye coordination, athleticism, speed, lateral quickness, vertical jump, speed of jump, hyper processing speed, the vision for Ulrich is pretty much a lottery pick. Okay. And I'm not gassing it. I'm telling you what I see. And if I saw something different, I would tell you the truth. Here comes Jamal Shead, little manipulation here, and then boom, bumps his shoulder down. And that's exactly the shot that he can't really make at the NBA level right now. But against a G League defender, he's going to be able to do that. And that's not shade on the G League. That's actually just a compliment to the 905 in general, right? So now you're going to watch Ulrich get burned. Okay. And this is going to be, remember when I said he's very fixated on the ball? Yeah, watch this. He thinks it's a dribble handoff. He loses his concentration for a half second, and that's just enough to get beat, right? Just watch that again. Fake the dribble handoff. He thinks the handoff has happened and just momentarily doesn't realize, oh shit, my guy still has the basketball. If you want a positive, he still pursues it. He still pursues. He just gets beat. And, the offensive player, a veteran and a good player, he just beats him. Okay. Jacoby, this was the rookie showcase, man. If you want, now here's a contest from Jacoby Walter on the 3-pointer, forces a miss, and immediately he's gone. Right? He knows his team is going to get this rebound. He maps this well. It's 4-on-1. So they teach you, don't leak out in transition until your team has secured the ball. I got news for you. When you go in 4-on-1 and you got the center in there, you pretty much got this ball. So now your job is to beat the offense down the court. And Jamal Shead reads this perfectly. He does not throw the first pass, which I would like to see him throw this first pass because it's never going to be a guarantee. Because as you see, Jacoby was open this entire play. But what's cool with Jamal is he's not gonna lose focus. He's seeing Jacoby's open. He doesn't want to throw a lob here for whatever reason. Maybe, just waiting for the defense. The defense does not see him, and now he sees him. And again, am I a little bit disappointed that Jamal threw this about 3 seconds late? Yes. Am I still relieved that he did throw it in the end and Jacoby is going to make this shot? Yes. So it's a catch-22 of, hey, Jamal Shead, when you look at this tape, throw that pass sooner, because in the NBA level, that passing window of 2 seconds is going to shrink, or 3 seconds that you had is going to shrink. Okay, now this was something that Jacoby did that was more off the dribble, right? And he did this a few times tonight, but here's a good one because he pursues, and something we saw is he's a pretty good rebounder. Again, one thing we noticed with Jacoby, Ulrich, and Ochai is they're very quick jumpers, and it pays off right here. Okay. So here, Jacoby's a little bit twitchy, but he's way too weak to bump his defender, right? So here, he pump fakes. So he's going to use what he can, and he's going to do this short, but look at him. He's up for this before anyone even realizes he's missed it, right? You know, as a shooter, you know where your shot is going better than anybody else, right? We see Scotty do this all the time. We see Jonathan Mogbo do this all the time. Actually, we're talking about quick jumpers. Jonathan Mogbo was a really quick jumper too. There's your common link between all your rookies. They're all really quick jumpers. Now here, Jacoby playing defense, pursues, gets a little bit beat there. Don't you worry. You got Big Brother back there. Ulrich Shamshay is going to block the shit out of that shot as well. So that was a really good recovery by Ulrich there. Now, this is one of those hand-eye coordination things. What made Fred VanVleet such a good defender despite being undersized? He had great hands on defense. And you are going to see Jamison Battle, who I have actually compared to Fred VanVleet, much taller version of Fred VanVleet, but you're going to see him do a very Fred VanVleet thing here. Now watch the the offensive player, which is Dariq Whitehead, I believe here, is going to show this ball, and Jamison Battle just pokes it away. No problem at all. Now, this is going to be a miss, but you see some of the vision and potential with Jacoby. He's trying to do things off the ball. He's got a pretty competent handle. It's not nearly as tight as it needs to be right now. But the issue here is he's just getting bumped. And that bump in conjunction with, not necessarily seeing the floor well enough to make this pass yet, like his vision is maybe the only question mark I have about Jacoby. And again, wasn't great at Baylor, was great in high school. We'll see what it looks like in the pros, right? I don't like to judge high school tape only. I like to see it at a higher level. So maybe we'll see this in the G League in some other game. Maybe we'll see this at the NBA level at some point. I don't think he's as bad as he looked at Baylor last year, though. I really do think he's a better passer than people give him credit for. So we'll see. Now, this is Jamison Battle doing some really smart shit. Okay. So first of all, that's just Jamison Battle takes this three, right? And this was an early transition. He's going to miss. Shead is going to track this rebound down. And now, what do they teach you? Cut into open space, right? There's a 2-on-2 coming to the basket right now. And both nets are honed in on Jamal Shead. And Jamal Shead is going to read this perfectly and drop this nice bounce pass to 27-inch vertical Jamison Battle, who Lane swears has a serious vert. Watch that again. I'm actually going to slow this one down just so you can see like the processing of how Jamison Battle is able to process this really fast. Okay. So he misses the shot. He stays at the 3-point line to provide proper spacing. But the second he notices that Jamal Shead is driving and there's an advantage, one-on-one advantage, because this second defender has not recovered. See, that dude that you see in the corner or in the middle of the court is supposed to either help on Jamal Shead or cut off this cut by Jamison Battle. When Jamison Battle sees that he is too small, A, and B, is way too uncommitted and unaware to stop this, he is going to give Jamal Shead the assist, basically. And that's like how I see it, is because if Jamal Shead goes up with this shot, it's a 50-50. But the minute Jamison Battle cuts into space there, it makes it okay. And that's what I really loved about that play. Okay. And then that was the first play. Here's the second one. So now this is Jacoby Walter, I believe, driving. No, that's Jamal Shead driving. My bad. And look at that again. Oh, the elite off ball. So now watch number 77, which is Jamison Battle the entire time. Okay. He's right He's right at the top right here. The minute he sees that there's an opening, he's going to cut right into space and he's going to make this incredible finish. Contested, really good finish there. Man, this is stuff like this is your coaching showing. You know, this is his coaching showing. This is his basketball intelligence showing. And these are the types of plays. Walter hits. Was a really good play by Jacoby Walter where he's going to get the 4-point play. And this was like when the Raptors, 9 were hanging by a rope. They had lost the lead. They were trying to mount a comeback. And this shot was huge. Off the dribble, step back, pull up, boom. And he gets fouled and still makes the three. I think this was a very good exhibit. Kong said you were talking it over it the whole time. Okay, cool. Good. We'll see. Point being, I think this was a really good exhibit for Jacoby to get some confidence, right? When you're an NBA player, you're 19 years old, you go to the league for the first time, you got to realize Jacoby's never been bad. Jacoby's not me and you. He's never gone onto a team, tried out, and not made the team. He's never been the bench guy. Well, I don't think he's been the bench guy since grade 8. I don't think he's ever been on the bench. These guys have been stars. It really messes with your psyche and your confidence when you try to do something and you can't do it. And you go 1 for 8 and you don't usually go 1 for 8. It kind of messes with your psyche when you're used to starting and finishing games and suddenly you're having to adjust to be like the 3-minute, 4-minute stopgap solution between the first quarter and the second quarter. So to see a player get more extended run, that's what the 905 is for. It's to build confidence. It's not to build championships. It's not to, win games. Ideally you want to win games by process, but that's not the goal here. The goal is to put these kids into positions where they can have an idea of themselves that is a break from their NBA reality, right? It's kind of like the Nike EYBL, right? Like you just want to give yourself a little vision of what is possible. And I think tonight you saw a little vision of what's possible. Evaluating talent in the G League is tough because a lot of people sort of downplay how good the G League is. G League talent, one-on-one, 1-for-1 is very good. Is it as good as the Euro League? No. The only reason it's not as good as the Euro League is not because of talent. Most of these guys are talented enough to play in the Euro League. The reason that it's not as good as the Euro League is because the coaching is not as good. The game plans and game settings and scouting reports and all that stuff. Overall, the team strategy is nowhere near as good as the Euro League. A team like Olympiacos would wipe the floor with the Raptors 905 and frankly, the Long Island Nets as well. The other thing that makes G League evaluation tough is, especially when you're looking at kids like Jacoby and Ulrich, is they're going up against grown men. Now, just because you don't know who these players are doesn't mean that they're not good. Killian Hayes was a former lottery pick. Dariq Whitehead was a former #1 overall recruit coming out of high school and was very highly touted. And he plays NBA minutes for the Brooklyn Nets. Not many minutes, but he's been in games. These guys are physically NBA players. They may not be NBA players always in terms of skill. They certainly aren't the highest level NBA players. There's no Lukas in the G League. There's no Jokic's in the G League. There's no one of that caliber. But there are guys who are big. They're athletic. They give you reps. They give you a chance to really play against the type of size you never saw in college. And I think that that is one of the biggest utilities of the G League. In terms of what it means for the Raptors, main crew, and I'm sorry, I'm on one bar. The last live we did, we had a great conversation with Rock UK that was super choppy, unfortunately, due to the audio issues. So please let me know if I'm lagging too hard and, if the audio is going in and out or my face is freezing. I don't know what's going on with the internet today, but it's been really rough today. And I hope that this doesn't continue. Overall, I think it means a lot that that your main team comes out to support the G League. Like I think that it does. It builds camaraderie. It helps the 905 guys feel supported. It puts some extra shine on them. To see RJ Barrett there doing a halftime interview or a third quarter interview, whenever he was doing that, it means a lot. When you look over, because the whole point of the G League is, it's a stepping stone to the NBA, right? All of these guys want to be in the NBA. Now, what about a guy like Kennedy Chandler, right? Does he have a path to the NBA? I don't think so. He's undersized. He's not a good defender. And there were plays tonight where you really see how much he struggles defensively and quarterbacking a team. He's a perfectly fine talent, just like Derek is a perfectly fine talent. Killian Hayes is very talented, but there's something different about being at the NBA level. You got to embrace your role. You're not a star anymore. You don't get to run 27% usage anymore. So, how do you succeed when the thing that has made you successful your whole life is no longer an option for you? Well, you can either be Bones Highland, right? Or Kevin Porter Jr., someone like that, where you're still going to try to play your game and you're just going to burn bridges with every single organization that tries to make you play a different way. Or you do the Fred VanVleet thing, the Pascal Siakam thing, right? Or the Norman Powell thing, where you learn to channel your game in a way that can be conducive in different settings, right? So right now, do the Raptors, the main team, need Jacoby Walter to score 25 points? Hell no. They need him to be disruptive defensively. They need him to be active. They need him to communicate well and to make, good reads. They need him to be, disruptive in the passing lanes. They need him to move into open space and just find his offense that way. They're not running a single play for Jacoby this year. I'll guarantee it. I don't want to guarantee it. We don't know where the season's going, but in the foreseeable future, you're not going to be running plays for Jacoby Walter and Jamal Shead and Jonathan Mogbo and Jamison Battle. For the most part, these guys are going to have to find their own way, right? And it's the same thing with Ulrich, right? What do we need from you? Do we need you to, handle the ball in transition and take threes? No. At some point, we may develop that part of your game. It may expand. It may come. You might get the green light to shoot open threes maybe next year. But right now, we need you to set solid screens. We need you to not make super stupid mistakes on defense. We need you to recover, hedge and recover in the defense in the pick and roll. And we need you to block some shots and provide some pressure on the rim. And then we need you to run in transition and be a lob target. It's a very simple job, but it's difficult because, again, you're having to untrain something that you've been doing your whole life and retrain a different part of your game. Jamison Battle is a ready-made guy for the NBA. That's why I think his acceleration on the NBA level has been a little easier than the vast majority of these other guys because he doesn't have to do very much with the ball. He's never really had to do very much with the ball. It's not really his game, right? His game is literally tailor-made for the NBA. But these other guys, they're going to have to sort of fit into awkward boxes. And so, a player like Kennedy Chandler, when you think about him, you're like, man, this guy's so talented. Why is he not on an NBA team, It's because he doesn't do the stuff that he would need to do to be successful in the NBA. He doesn't guard. He doesn't facilitate well enough. He doesn't quarterback the offense well enough. He just wants to play his game. And he's going to keep playing his game in the G League for the next 5 years if he doesn't change, right? HC saying Mogbo and Shead should be back to the main. Sure. Some people feel like Shead should be down there for a bit just because the 905 could really use a proper table setting point guard because, they probably feel Kennedy Chandler ain't it. I would love to see Kennedy Chandler develop a little bit more. I think the Raptors 905 do have some talent. The other thing I'll say that's really difficult with the 905 is all the two-way spots and all the G League assignments and all the NBA fluff of it has made, I want to say, the G League less of a basketball league and more of a farm team. I mean, I don't watch baseball enough to comment on what the minor leagues and the major leagues are like. But from what I understand, the Raptors' main players, Jacoby, these guys, they haven't had much they haven't had much practice time with these other guys, which is why you saw stints. In terms of what happened in this game, Pete Richards saying, can someone help me understand why there are over 220 people watching and only 50 people checked like? Oh, that's nice of you. Thank you for that. I appreciate you. I always appreciate when people do that. That's cool. That it. You know what? I like so many content creators out there, and so often I forget to click like on their videos and I forget how much it helps the algorithm. Yes, commenting on this video after it goes live with your thoughts on it, even though you've been commenting in the live, in the live setting, liking this video, sharing it absolutely does help. I don't know what's going on with the YouTube algorithm for our videos. We have not been showing up in most searches over the last 3 months, and it's really bugging me out a little bit. Like there are subscribers who tell me all the time, my video, your video went live and I can't see it. Like I'm subscribed and I have notifications checked on and I'm still not seeing it. So really strange. Sometimes I'll literally Google, like I'll search in the YouTube search bar Pensar basketball and I won't see the video that we just posted. So it's really been strange the last 3 months. Not really sure what, what's going on with Google and YouTube on that one, but yeah, liking, sharing, and commenting really goes a long way. So thank you. HC saying, Rob, do you have a favorite cologne? Sure, Hugo Boss. Hugo Boss. I'm not really sure what it's called, but it's literally been my favorite cologne since I was 13 years old, and I'm pretty sure it's the same one. It comes in a silver bottle. Jonathan M saying, just jump to 70. Good job, Pete. Haha. Yes, good job, Pete. Thank you very much. Anyway, so overall, this game was a little messy to watch, but fair point, fair point. Would you rather that the team had won and all your prized rookies would have struggled? I don't think so. It's important to realize that when I watched the first game of Fred VanVleet in the G League, and I did watch Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam in the G League, I never could have imagined that they'd be all-stars. I really didn't. I hate to admit it. I did not think Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet were going to be all-stars at any point in their lives. If you had told me that at that point that Fred VanVleet was going to be turned into an all-star, I would have told you who died, how many people in the league died. Like, did the entire league fall off in a plane crash? Like, I could not have imagined a million years. I thought he would be a serviceable third string point guard. So it's important to realize that just because we see limitations in the G League doesn't mean that people can't outwork their limitations. And Fred was an older guy. Pascal was an older guy. Guys like Jacoby and Ulrich are like 3-4 years younger than Fred and Pascal. They're so much further ahead at the same age. So if the same work is put in and the base ingredients are there to create a good basketball player, then what's possibly missing here? Luck, opportunity. That's it. And the G League is a great opportunity for Jamal Shead to get 25 minutes of extended run and really quarterback the team without having to worry, is Scotty getting his touches? Is RJ getting his touches? No. I'm the man here, and I'm going to run the offense the way I know how to run the offense. It gives these guys a taste of something that's a little bit familiar to them amidst a sea of something that's very not familiar to them. The Raptors 905 did start their entire season out on the road. The commentators were saying that they couldn't remember in any time in history that a team starts 5 games on the road. So that was tough. But you see the process, and I got to tell you, I watched a few of the 905 games last year. I had a couple free tickets to go to the 905. I did not want to watch that product, man. With Ron Harper Jr. and everything that was going on down there, it just did not appeal to me the last 2 years. I haven't really been closely following the G League, but knowing that Ulrich would be down there, I would love to get to a couple 905 games this year myself. I know that Jonathan did go to the 905 games, so that was cool. HC saying, did Grady play on the 905 last year? I was tuned out. Yes, he did. Grady did play for the 905, and he struggled immensely. We did cover a few of his games. You can definitely dig through the archives of our Pensar Basketball Lives. I got to organize our playlist so we have all our G League lives in one place, but yeah. Oh, we got Jonathan calling in. Yay, Jonathan, what's going on, man? What is going on, dude?
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. What's up?
Well, I just wanted to call in. I went to the game. Oh, I'm hearing double.
You're hearing double?
Yeah.
Do you have YouTube open?
Hold on 1 second. Can you hear me all right?
I can, yeah.
Okay. All right. Hope this. Yeah. Anyways, it's a loss. I messaged you earlier. I had to leave at halftime. I was there with my son, but I rewatched a bunch of the game. Yeah, Shed was good. Battle was good. That new guy, Eugene, I was pretty impressed with him. He had a number of passes. Some of them didn't hit their mark, but I thought it was the right move. So, all in all, I think, we have a pretty good crew, and they just need a little time to get the flow working together. And, obviously guys like Mogbo aren't going to be there all the time. Jacoby, they'll be called up every now and then, but if they can get some good runs together, I think we got a much better team than last year. That's for sure.
Did you happen to see the Raptors players there? Any insights on just how the team looked, if they were up, rowdy, cheering, anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I saw them getting up there a couple times, high fiving some guys. But I mean, just the fact that the whole team was there, because I've been going to 905 games for it's going to be my third year. I had seen a couple Raptor players here and there, but not very often. This is the first time I've ever seen the whole team go. It kind of made me think about, I think it was last year, Chet went back to his high school and like the whole team came with them. And so
Mhm.
that's what I thought about immediately. But yeah, I was basically sitting and all of a sudden I see Grady come in and then Ochai and then Yak. And I was like, oh my God, they're all here. And then when I went to the concessions, IQ walked about 5 feet from me and I was like, oh my God, they're all here. So it's pretty cool to see. Nice camaraderie from everybody. So
That's really cool, and it's funny
the
that you brought up the chat thing, because I actually posted the video of that on Instagram,
oh,
ironically, and the
you're
chat high
cutting
school
out,
said,
Rob.
it's you who's cutting out, unfortunately. Yeah, you're, like, really, really choppy. Yeah. Okay, just try again if you want, but if not, it's totally cool. Thanks for calling in, man. Feel free to try again. Okay, sorry about that. Audio issues. Internet is buggy. Maybe he's a Rogers, maybe Jonathan is a Rogers subscriber just like I am, and the internet is just messing up for both of us. Rogers just catching stray after stray after stray. Anyway, um, the power of influence. That's the final thing I want to talk about right now, which is the power of influence. So something kind of crazy happened, and I don't want to take too much credit for it, but I'm going to take my fair share of credit for it. So, as y'all recall, I was on the panel a couple of days ago. Yeah, yesterday. I was on the panel Thursday, and it was about the destruction of the Philadelphia 76ers and specifically Nick Nurse and Joel Embiid and what's going on in Philadelphia and why are they so bad. And I decided I was just going to very animatedly bury Nick Nurse, because I don't know. Should I let bygones be bygones? Should I just let the whole dissolving of our culture and everything that was said and everything that was done on the way out, and Scotty's second year regression and Scotty's reaction being asked what it was like to see Nick Nurse again, and his reaction being like, nice to see him, I guess. Like, all of these things are tattooed on my mind, and it just reminds me that there's a bit of frustration on my end towards Nick Nurse. I really can't stand him. And it's I don't know what it is. But anyways, I went on the panel and I just absolutely ethered him. I talked about what the Raptors went through with him. I said that the culture immediately improved when he left. Scotty immediately improved when he left. That all the things that we were seeing in terms of the vibes, the culture, the development, all just got better. We don't hear any stories. We don't hear any more media leaks. The leaks are gone, guys. When's the last time you heard a single Raptor on this team had an issue? None. You don't hear it because no one's talking. You know why no one's talking? Because it's a band of brothers and you're not supposed to rat on your brothers. Okay. So if Scotty Barnes and Grady Dick get into it in practice, we shouldn't be hearing about it. And if we are hearing about it, it's because that wasn't squashed in practice. The truth is that a lot of things happen in the gym, a lot of things happen in the locker room. And the sanctity of a team is that it has to stay in the locker room. And I don't mean egregious like assault and crazy stuff like that. That's worth, fanning out and getting canceled over. I don't mean, someone bringing the Gilbert Arenas and Javaris Crittenton thing should have stayed in house. No, they should have been arrested for doing that. I mean, squabbles and small things, like disagreements and how someone's working and who had to talk to who. And these things should never get out to the media. I think the media would disagree that they shouldn't get out to the media, but they should never get out to the media. And so I just went on and I talked about what a leaky locker room the Raptors had under Nick Nurse, how nobody really developed, nobody got better. The coaches were all disgruntled. There was a lot of people who were looking for other jobs. People didn't want to stick around. Jamal literally left. Good people leave when bad people take over, I think. And Jama literally came back the second Nick Nurse was gone. Why do you think that is? I mean, he'll never go on record and say it, but it's worth speculating. Why do you think that is? Why is it that a Canadian coach who is really just considered one of the best development coaches in the NBA. Why did he leave and why did he come back? I think it's worth noting. I think a lot of it is worth noting. And so I decided to bury Nick Nurse on the panel. 25,000 views on that video. 25,000 views. That video got clipped. Segments of it were quoted on Raptors TV, on Philadelphia podcasts, and the entire conversation today in Philadelphia land that I can see, at least on my end, is about Nick Nurse. That is the power of influence. Did I use my powers for good? Did I use my platform for good? Yeah, I think I did. You know why? Because the people who leak to the media, in my opinion, no, it's not my opinion. This is just a straight fact. Let's pretend that you are a media member and I am your source, right? Olamani saying, play the clip. You want me to play the clip? I'll play the clip. I'll play your clip for you. Sure. I'm not going to play the entire clip. You can watch it on the panel if you'd like. It has, I mean, got a lot of views. Where the hell is it? Where 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 is it? Hang on. There you go. Y'all hear it? Other teams, if they had jobs, because they knew none of them were keeping their jobs. That's a fact. I'm not coming here to defend Joel Embiid. I'm coming here to bury Nick Nurse. That's let's get the agenda clear. Okay.
Sure. I can get with that, man.
So I'm gonna say this: the last time Nick Nurse coached a team that wasn't the Philadelphia 76ers, it was my Toronto Raptors.
There we go.
The most dysfunctional locker room I have ever seen in my life. There were coaches mid-season asking other teams if they had jobs because they knew none of them were keeping their jobs. That's a fact. Okay. There was reporters I know that went into the locker room and said it's the quietest locker room they've ever seen. There was leak after leak after leak as the team underperformed before trading for Jakob Poeltl. It was a constant issue to keep anything in house. I'm not coming here to defend Joel Embiid. I'm coming here to bury Nick Nurse. Okay, so long story short, influence is really important, isn't it? Now, somebody asked me yesterday during our 5-hour live, which got clipped down to a 2-hour live. I love that line. I'm here to bury Nick Nurse. Yeah, it is an attention-grabbing line. Someone asked me yesterday during a live, and I didn't want to answer that question because we were already 5 hours into it, but I'll answer this like right now. What do I think of Jake Paul, the businessman? And specifically, how do I think about influencers in general? Jake Paul has a huge audience, right? He has pushed his audience into scams, crypto scams, stock scams, business scams. He's pushed them into, and there's a very young audience too, mind you. Our audience is a lot older and a lot smaller, but I'm always mindful of the fact that there's a chance that a 15 or 16-year-old watches us. And sometimes I feel a little bit guilty that I swear a bit. But I try to be like, realize that there is a relationship here that we have through a screen, and that it's a very important one to respect. It is also one to be mindful of and cognizant of when we do these lives, that something I say may change potentially or persuade you into something that you may say or think. And it's important to realize that. It's also important to realize that the best communities try to build leaders, not followers. And so my goal with this community has never been to tell you what to think about basketball, ever. I don't want to be the person who gives you your basketball takes. And maybe that's frustrating because sometimes we watch these things so that we know what to think, right? We want to know what to think of this Philly situation. We want to know what to think of Scotty Barnes. We want to know what to think of Ulrich Shamshay, so that when somebody asks us about the Raptors, we can talk intelligently about Ulrich Shamshay. We can bring up stats, and we can bring up figures, and we can bring up thoughts about Ulrich and maybe insights about Ulrich. And we can talk about his short roll passing because we brought it up on a live. And maybe you didn't catch that. Maybe you didn't make anything of it when you watched it live. But now that we broke it down a little bit, you can talk about it a little bit more. But the point is never, my point is never, my goal is never to say something and then have you parrot what I say. Right? It's never the goal. My goal is also never to make your life worse in any way. So I'm mindful of the fact that after a tough loss, we got to sometimes keep it light and we can't be super heavy. I'm also mindful that I don't want to lead you astray into believing something that isn't true. So it's important to kind of pour out the water on anything that gets a little too hype. It's a fine balance. In terms of what I think about Jake Paul as an influencer, I think, sorry if my thoughts are kind of all over the place. I'm trying to delicately balance how to say this. I think he's a piece of shit. I've always thought he was a piece of shit. Ever since I heard about him, I thought he was a piece of shit. The guy who challenged him, Andrew Tate, I think he's a piece of shit too. I think a lot of influencers are really bad people. And that's always been on my mind, that just because you can doesn't mean you should. Now, I've always thought, and I've always said throughout my life, that I am incorruptible. I've always said this ever since I was a little kid, and I heard of stories. I would always say, I am incorruptible. No amount of power is ever going to go to my head. And I've tested this out various times. In a position to be a festival director or a film director on a set, I've never been like, I can't say I've been always easy to deal with, but I've never tried to leverage my power to exert power on somebody else to make their life significantly worse, or power tripped on somebody that way. And it was the same thing when I was president of a fraternity or when I was a manager of a company, any situation like that. And it will remain the same thing here. There's no number of connections that are going to make me abandon my moral compass. And it's largely because my mom told me this really early story. And some of our earliest stories shape us in terms of how we see the world. And my mom told a story about her great uncle, who was a really good lawyer. And he had this one thing: if he knew you were guilty, he wouldn't defend you. No matter how much money you threw at him, he would never defend you. I think that's a really important thing to just remain in your mind, that like you have to be about something. Like, I think if your life is going to be about money, you're probably going to go the wrong way a lot. And that's what I feel with Jake Paul. I think his entire life is about money and seeking relevance and significance, possibly due to some sort of sibling rivalry or whatever the hell it is. But look, get your paper, get your money, but that can never be the main thing. It can never come above like what it means to be a good person. I did not have an issue with Fred VanVleet because he wanted to get paid. I had an issue because he was willing to do anything to get paid. I don't have an issue with people wanting to take care of their families. I have an issue when you have to burn down 18 homes of other families to take care of your family. I'm not someone who couldn't use $100,000 next year of gambling sponsorships. Certainly, I think our life would be better. Like my girlfriend and I'm sure we could use that money. And I'm sure that it drives a lot of people who've dated me or been friends of mine crazy when I say, I'm not taking that. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. They're a bad company. I don't want to deal with them. We had a sponsorship person for Pendance, our film festival, that recently quit because I refuse to be sponsored by a particular brand. I'm not going to name the brand because I feel like we're giving them clout, but their reviews on Glassdoor were horrible. Apparently, they're really, really bad to their employees, and I just couldn't in good conscience put their logo next to our logo. Does anyone care? Would y'all like just revolt if I suddenly started like, pushing gambling? I don't know, and frankly, I don't even care. That's not the point. It wouldn't never be the point. If I suggest a crypto scam to you, knowing it's a crypto scam, because I'm the one who owns 100% of the shares or the 100% of the coin, and the minute you buy, I'm going to start selling you, and then I'm just going to abandon it, and you're going to be penniless. I can't rationalize that in any way. I don't know how people like that sleep. So I think that it's just important to realize that this concept of influencer is really new in the world, I think, but it's also not that new, I guess. I just think that it's new to have so many. And I think it's new to have so many who are so goddamn unqualified. Someone could just be charismatic, get on a mic, and suddenly change the world, how the world sees a particular person because they say something about that person or whatever. I wanted to use my limited platform between the panel and Pensar basketball and through my writing and etc. to support the people that I believe in. It doesn't necessarily make me feel really happy that I'm using that platform to, derail Fred VanVleet coming back to Toronto or malign Dennis Schroeder or even right now talking badly about Nick Nurse. But I'm reminded that there's a reason that I do this, and the method for my madness is this: false consciousness, a concept that I've discussed numerous times on this channel, and one that I discussed also on the panel. And that was really what it means. When you talking about Nick Nurse going to a media member and saying, our team is soft, our team doesn't respond well to things being bad, our team doesn't respond well when things are not going their way, we have maturity issues as a team, our team is super young, etc. You're feeding the media information that they otherwise would not have without you. And there's a sort of privilege that comes with that, doesn't it? Because when they are going to write about you, they have to put their name, but they never have to put your name, right? So let's say you, right? Let's say Nadim, authentic Rob, you're real one, appreciate it. Let's say Nadim is somebody that is working with me and he has a lot of work ethic issues. Sorry to blast you, Nadim. You said something really nice about me, and I'm just going to say you have work ethic issues. I'm assuming, I'm just inventing a story about you. You have work ethic issues, and we're working for a company that is massively struggling, right? And the media wants to know why the company is struggling, but you're not willing to talk to the media, but I am, and I say, you know, it's tough to succeed as a company when people like Nadim and people like Jeff are just so consistently late for everything. Well, now the media member can write something that's new that other people don't know about a topic that everyone's wondering about. Everyone was wondering why the Raptors were struggling, why the Raptors weren't supporting each other, and they needed a scapegoat. They needed somebody to put the blame on, and they didn't care that the person that was giving them the information only implicated other people but never themselves because they use plausible deniability. Why would the coach lie? Why would Fred lie? Why would Dennis lie? I spoke to a media member who I'll keep nameless to protect his identity, just out of respect. And we talked for, I want to say, we had about 55 to 60 messages back and forth regarding a particular Fred VanVleet situation. And this particular media member was a very, very big fan of Fred VanVleet. And when Masai Ujiri talked about selfishness for the first time, I messaged him and I said, boom goes the hammer. You told me there was no selfishness issues with this team. And now the president of the team himself has come out and said there's a selfishness issue. And what did this person say to me? They said, oh, no, it's not Fred. He specifically wasn't talking about Fred, la, 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 la. And it's just like the capping was hilarious. And it's like, how do you know? Oh, Masai told me it wasn't Fred. He specifically told me he wasn't talking about Fred. Why would he need to say that? There's so much confusion there, right? But ultimately, this guy is willing to probably go to the end of the earth to make sure that when that selfishness talk was brought up, that it not fall on the player that is his source, right? That's the protection. The media in Chicago protected Michael Jordan. He had a great relationship with them for the most part, and they protected him a lot. They've gone on record later saying they looked sideways on 1,000 things that he did in practice, off the court, gambling, all the stuff. They looked away because he was the cash cow. He brought the money home. Follow the money. Always follow the money. With influencers, follow the money. With the media, follow the money. If the media is telling you that they want the Raptors to trade Scotty Barnes for Kevin Durant, that is not an honest basketball take. That is an honest financial take. Because trading for Kevin Durant and pairing him, in place of Scotty Barnes, Scotty's not a huge media draw right now. He's not Vince Carter. He's not Vince Carter. He's not Kawhi Leonard. The fans are not showing up in droves being like, oh my God, we got to catch every Scotty Barnes game. He's just not that popular. He's popular. Don't get me wrong. He's very popular. He might be the most popular Raptor right now, but he's not that marketable for them right now. He's not bringing eyeballs to the Raptors on the national stage. And Cooper Flagg would. Cooper Flagg would. Kevin Durant would. That doesn't mean they're right for the team. It just means they're right for the media. And that's what you got to understand. We had an entire discussion about JD Bunkis' podcast where he talked about how the Raptors should tank for Cooper Flagg because they don't have that guy yet. He hasn't, I'll guarantee you, he hasn't watched a single Cooper Flagg game in his life. Not at Maine, not at Montverde, not at Duke. Lazy analysis. All he can see is dollars because his life is about dollars. Spends an entire time being on a podcast, hating everybody, dollars. It gets clicks. His fan base hates the Raptors, probably. They're hockey people, right? They hate the Raptors. They hate that the Raptors exist. They hate the Raptors, the basketball players get paid so much money. So what's he going to do? He's going to target his base, just like Donald Trump targets his base, just like every hateful influencer. And if you want to consider Donald Trump a politician, go ahead. He's really just an influencer. That's really all he is. He's an influencer. JD Bunkis is an influencer. And unfortunately, I am an influencer. We are all influencers into some degree. We may be analysts, we may be podcasters, we may be presidents, we may be whatever, but we're all just people trying to influence a small segment of people to believe something different than what they currently believe or guide their thoughts in a different way. And what I'm trying to do is show you the playbook. It's always about money with people. These people don't have a heart to say like, shoot, this guy's going through a struggle. Let me shine some positive light on some of the positive things he's doing. No, they're thinking our cash cow is being run out of town because they're trying to build the thing around this non-cash cow. Let's bury the non-cash cow so that the cash machine will feel it almost irresponsible financially to pivot. Because what the Raptors are doing right now is exactly what the media, I promise you, every accredited media member, with the exception of maybe two, thought of what the Raptors were doing today, right now, the vibes that we are enjoying, the culture we are enjoying, the fact that we moved off of Nick Nurse, the fact that we moved off of Siakam, the fact that we moved off of Fred, they did not want this. And they did not want this because it was uncertain and because it was unprofitable. And that's it. That's it. Very few people in this world are ever going to go against their own self-interest. So you have to ask, what's your interest? What is it that dictates your self-interest? My self-interest is I want good basketball in Toronto. That's it. That is my self-interest in this. That's what I want. What do they want? What do you want? Because that's going to dictate a lot of your decisions and what you do and how you do it online. You want a team built around Scotty Barnes? Cool. You want a team built around RJ Barrett? Cool. That's going to dictate what you see, right? You want a team built around Cooper Flagg because you agree with people like JD Bunkis because you're like, hey, the Scotty and RJ and IQ is not it. Nobody's a big star here. No. We need a marketable, grabby star that more suits are going to show up to watch. More people are going to be able to. This is the influencer world, man. You see people go to concerts just to say they went to the concert and they don't know jack shit about the concert. They don't sit there. They don't absorb the music. They go to a comedy show and literally talk the entire time in the back row just so they can post a 20-second TikTok reel saying they were at the comedy show. There's a lot of people like this. We invited people to Penn Dance, a couple influencers, women generally, some of them, and they show up for 12 seconds, watch the movie for 1 minute, they dip out. Just so they're like, no, we have 4 parties to go to tonight. I don't know, man. I guess I'm venting. Maybe it's incoherent. Hopefully something I said makes sense. It kind of feels weird to tie this together with a Raptors 905 loss. Would have felt weirder to tie it up with a Raptors 905 win. But I guess I just wanted to say, in terms of Jake Paul, I think he's a piece of shit. And in terms of a lot of influencers, I think they're a piece of shit. And in terms of you all, I hope that you will always make up your own mind about things, And when you feel, intellectually incapable of making up your mind about something because it's so specialized, like something like medicine or something like that, then my only suggestion is to seek multiple sources, and when it comes to something a little less serious than medicine or, vaccines and stuff, it's like basketball or hockey or something like that, then I hope that you'll still be open to hearing multiple views on things. A lot of people message and say, Rob, Pensar Basketball is the only channel I listen to. I unsubscribe to everything else. And my only thought to that is, that sucks. I don't want you to do that. Why would I want you to do that? That sucks. That sucks for you. That Pensar Basketball is the only thing. If you love basketball, then you should definitely check out Thinking Basketball. You should definitely check out, a lot of channels. And, like maybe one day we can devote an entire live to all the channels that I listen to. Athletic Alchemy for the Warriors. Um, there's so many. Yeah. Anyway, what am I trying to say? I wish I could tie this up with a really prophetic, beautiful thing. I believe that the heat that Nick Nurse is going to take now in Philly from the fan base is going to turn the pressure up to the media to talk about it. And this is where I feel that while the media did not want the Raptors to rebuild and move off of Fred and Siakam, I believe the fans pushed hard enough online to make it okay. Losing Fred and losing Pascal in a single year, basically in a 6-month span, losing Fred, Pascal, and OG, three mainstays from the Raptors' most successful run, is a really difficult blow to your bottom line if you're only thinking in dollars and cents. And it would have been damn near impossible to do if we had not been properly able to rally support for Scotty, if Scotty himself had not shown himself to be the type of player worth building around, and if the pressure from the fans against what was happening with this team, the selfishness, the culture, y'all did it. I don't think you understand how much power you actually have. I don't think you do. The pressure that you put online with all the comments. This guy's always wearing the NN hat. Why doesn't he ever talk about Fred? Why doesn't he ever talk about Pascal? You don't know how many people read those comments, man. You don't know how many times I'll walk onto a YouTube comment under the Raptors channel and see 17 channel members from here blasting the shit out of Fred VanVleet for some shit that he said about Scotty in a post game. And it makes people aware because you see what I mean? Like once you get people's eyes kind of like honed in on it, you say like, hey, Fred always misses Scotty on the corner. Fred never really passes the ball to this guy, whatever. When you start honing in on it, then you start to see it more and more and more. And then you're like, I can't even deny this is happening. Like I might not have caught it myself, but now that I'm aware of this and I'm looking for it, look at it. When we started talking about the body language on the bench with the Raptors, oh my God. Like people started to hone in on the bench during like the replays and they were just like, you're right, like nobody's talking, nobody's connected, people are sitting seats apart. There's Fred, there's the coaches, and there's two empty seats, and then there's Scotty in the end of the bench. All these things, y'all did it. Like that's what I'm saying. And I hope that the Philly fan base can do the same, because there's nothing that breaks my heart more than to see a team that is being improperly coached, in my opinion, in Philadelphia, basically get torn apart as the coach gets away scot clean because he's the one who's finessed all the relationships with the media, and they would never dare turn on him because he's the dear championship head coach. Okay. I don't believe, I believe sometimes coaches are scapegoats. I don't believe in this case that that would be the case. And look, Nick Nurse, brilliant mind. I've said it multiple times. I think he's a really, really smart basketball coach in terms of X's and O's. He understands the game at a very deep level. He's deeply creative, highly innovative, highly intelligent. I've never met him, but he does not strike me as a person who is going to lead a positive culture or develop a positive culture or really just cares very much about other people in relation to how much he cares about himself. And that's just the vibe that I got from him. Neil Lore saying, is it weird that I'm genuinely feeling bad for Embiid right now? No, you feel bad for whoever you want. I certainly don't feel bad for Embiid at all. I'm not like, I don't really care for Embiid. I don't really care for Nurse. I care for Kyle Lowry. On that team, I care for Kyle Lowry and Tyrese Maxey and Gershon Yabusele and Jeff Doughton. Like I have a lot of my favorite players on that team. So, certainly I feel bad for those people. And, I don't really mind Paul George at all. There you go. Absolutely. Gregory saying, Fred lost me the moment he said Scotty will be my biggest challenge. Pretty sure that was his first quote about Scotty after we drafted him. You are mistaken. That was not his first quote about Scotty after he was drafted. I believe he said that about Scotty either in the off season or after a few games into his second year. He said something to that effect. Or it might have been midway through his rookie season. It definitely wasn't the first thing he said about Scotty. One of the first things he said about Scotty, if I recall correctly, with Fred, and you can definitely go back on the Fred. You know what? Do yourself a favor if you missed that entire chapter of Pensar Basketball. Definitely check YouTube Fred VanVleet Pensar Basketball, and you will see how many videos we made about this guy. It was nuts. And yeah, I think one of his first quotes about Scotty was, they went and got all these 6'9" guys. It looks like they don't need me at point guard anymore. That was a question that I think Eric Koreen asked him, and that was the quote. I don't know if Embiid deserves your sympathy or support because he's been injured or uninjured or whatever. I genuinely don't support him because I find him to be very immature, very front runnery, and quite frankly, a very dirty player. I think he has numerous times that he has tried to injure other players, whether you agree or disagree that he deliberately stepped on Scotty's foot. There have been, I want to say, close to 15 to 20 clips of him flopping or doing something that feels underhanded, which has resulted in either an injury or a near injury for somebody. Now, I like Draymond Green, and he has done the same thing, so maybe I need to check myself on that. But yeah, Bueno Kitty saying Fred VanVleet poisoned the well during interviews, saying some young guys not taking basketball seriously. Oh, absolutely. And when we started to diagram all these interviews and we started to hone in on his consistent use of younger guys, younger guys, younger guys, younger guys over and over, a couple of days after that interview, that video got like 4 or 5 thousand views, he came on, and I remember this thing very carefully. I remember this very vividly. He came on to one of the pressers and he's like, I got to be careful with what I say because people online go crazy with what I'm saying, dissecting what I'm saying. And it's like, bro, I feel like we're the only people doing it. So it's cool, you know? Anyways, it felt good at that time, even though it didn't feel so great to, have rooted for a guy like Fred VanVleet and then to see, the face turn or the heel turn. And it also probably didn't feel good because I supported Nick Nurse until I didn't. I supported him very adamantly until Scotty's second year, about 20 games into it. And then I started to draw the connections. I started to hear some stuff from people about the locker room and about how he's motivating guys and how he's talking to certain players and his relationships with media and stuff. And I just couldn't stand him after that. It felt like a really big betrayal. Young saying, Rob, do you see Nurse as a long-term coach for the Sixers? The team culture seems messy right now. I think he will be fired within 2 years, if not this year. Liam with a super chat. Thank you. Our first super chat saying Fred VanVleet, an all-time best undrafted dude, just got here. Yes, he is one of the best undrafted players of all time. He's up there with guys like Ben Wallace and Brad Miller. There's quite a few really good undrafted players. He's definitely up there. SP saying, with his injury history, what do you think it'd take to get Zion? Maybe beside the coaching staff and reuniting with RJ could help him. It's a cool thought. I really cannot stand Zion Williamson, the basketball player. I mean, he's a really talented player, but at some point you got to ask yourself, is it worth the headache? Is it worth the headache to bring someone like that into something so pure? And when I say something so pure, understand my point. This team is so good, right? It's Darius saying too injury prone. I get you. I get you. There are certain people that are a little disruptive for your locker room, but they're productively disruptive, right? Like a Rasheed Wallace. He can be he can burn hot and cold. He can be moody. Kyle Lowry is a great example of someone who had a reputation of burning some coaches out, being a little bit moody with teammates, and being a little bit short with some of the staff and stuff. But still, he just cares about winning. I don't want any player in Toronto who doesn't care about winning as their primary focus. Okay. even if they care about getting paid, even if they care about the fame, even if they care about their Instagram followers, even if they care about their TikToks, I just want people who are willing to do the right thing on the basketball court, off the court, work hard, and players who just want to win. That seems to me that Masai Ujiri's litmus test for a prospect before he comes into Toronto is pretty much identical to my litmus test before I choose who to support and who not to support. Dario saying the culture is good right now. We don't want to disturb it. I agree completely. Anyways, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. Appreciate it. And thanks to Jonathan for calling in. Sorry we had a little bit of choppy reception. And if this live has gone in and out a little bit with the internet, I apologize for that as well. Overall, really good showing for Jacoby. Really nice to see him get some run. Really nice to see him have some success, and hopefully he can build on it at the next level. I firmly believe that a couple of years from now, you're going to be looking at Jacoby like a fixture on a really good team, man. Whether he's a starter, whether he's coming off the bench, he's going to be a key rotation player for a good team for a long time. I see how this kid works. I see his athletic potential. I see his shooting. And I'm like, okay, the Raptors got one here. Ulrich, same thing. Jamal, Jacoby, you know, Jonathan Mogbo, Jamison Battle. This draft class, this 2024 super crap draft yielded the Raptors 5 diamonds. And I can't wait to see how they blossom over the years. I can't wait to see their development. Next year in Summer League, I'm going to be like rooting for them super hard. Most of them are going to play for the Summer League next year. And we'll see. We'll see. Maybe 3 to 4 pop for you. You've really accelerated the rebuild now. Now you might be able to trade future first. I know people are really panicked about that, but you can only have 18 roster spots. Also, I'll point to one more thing. The Raptors are getting pretty deep on cheap contracts, right? In a couple of years, when the league decides to go for an expansion, not to worry you, but the Raptors can only protect a certain number of players. They're obviously going to protect Scotty, Grady, their core pieces. But if you have like a really deep team of like Jamison battles, those are usually the guys that get farmed out by teams. So maybe it might be good to make a consolidation move before the next expansion draft as well. Like if all of Jonathan Mogbo, if all these rookies pan out, you certainly do not want to be losing Ulrich Shamshay because you couldn't protect him, right? So I think the Raptors will navigate that when the time comes. But I'm a little worried with, how deep the Raptors are getting on the back end of it with young talent, young, cheap talent, that this might be exactly the team. If I'm a team in Seattle or Las Vegas looking for an expansion draft, the Raptors might be the team that I'd look to farm with. Sparkling saying, man, feels a little unfair to just lose your players. Yeah, it does. But, teams like OKC, teams like Toronto, let's say Toronto is teams like Orlando, actually. How many players can Orlando protect, right? I don't remember exactly what the number is, but I think it's 8 or 9. I have to look into it. I don't know how many players you can protect, but I think it's 8 or 9. So typically what you leave is like your bloated salaries. There just aren't a lot of bloated salaries in the NBA now, right? There aren't a lot of like egregious old vets. The league has gotten a lot younger. So it's just like at this point, are the Lakers going to lose Dalton Connect? Like who are they going to lose? They're going to lose Cam Reddish, right? And certain teams are really top heavy, and those teams are in good place. Like the Denver Nuggets are really top heavy. I don't think they could find 8 guys they want to protect. But a team like Memphis, a team like Golden State, a team like OKC, these teams that are super deep, like yeah, you could lose Usman Jang and Jalen Williams, the taller Jalen Williams, potentially if you don't protect them. You could lose a player like I don't know, like a high lottery pick. Like you could lose the guy they just drafted 12th overall out of Serbia, right? So like that's tough. Like Nikola Topic, like you could lose that guy. Like that's the tough thing. SP saying, does Bronny get protected? Maybe from a marketing perspective they would protect him, but they shouldn't. Gregory saying 8 players can be protected according to Google. Yeah, I hope they adjust that to 10. I really do. Like, not that I'm trying to be, it just the way I envision it, the Raptors top 10 will all be players that I'll be very sad to lose. And I have a feeling they'll lose one of them. I do believe there's a caveat where you cannot take more than one player from a team. But if you end up losing a really good young player, do you really care? Like, you know what I mean? You really see expansion in the future with viewership declining. Hey Christian, how are you doing? Do I see expansion? Yeah, I do. Actually, league expansion is coming for sure. I think this is like solidly in the works. The NBA just changed the All-Star game format. There was an entire panel on it today. I don't think the viewership is necessarily declining. I think the league, I think there's a lot of exhaustion from fans wondering like these injuries and all this stuff. But I don't think the league has to worry about it for a long time. They just signed a new media rights deal and it's a lot of money, and it's a long-term guaranteed. So they don't have to worry about it too much. Naturally, they are now in the hands of a lot of big businesses that can now dictate their product and rules a little bit too. They can say like, "Hey, we want players." So you've already seen rules and certain adjustments under Adam Silver under the new deals. So we've seen the in-season tournament, we've seen the play-in tournament, right? Again, all of these things are just we may see the in-season tournament moved up to time up with the NFL end of the NFL season. We're going to see an all-star game restructuring. Last year we saw the Steph versus Sabrina Ionescu. We're in an age of expansion, but make no, and it's ironic because it ties into my earlier point about influencers chasing money. Make no mistake, every single decision that the NBA is making right now is to protect the bottom line. That's it. It's all about money. It's 100% about money. So if more threes are better for money, they'll do it. If less threes are better for money, they'll do that too. In the end, they don't want these athletes getting injured, so they're going to try to, make it so that the league is not as physical because fans don't revolt enough. Fans keep watching. These stars resting back-to-backs, etc. They impose a rule. Now they're fining the Sixers for resting stars when they're healthy, etc. So again, everything that they're doing right now is to basically protect the interests of their media partners, and they're going to keep doing that. But I don't think the viewership is necessarily declining as big, as heavily as the ratings would suggest, right? But yeah. Anyway, nice to see you. As always, Christian, you called in several times last year. Haven't seen you in a while, so nice to see you. Hope you're doing well. And I'll catch you guys later. Have a great one. Somehow stretched a 40-minute live into an hour and 30. Still trying to do the super long lives. Shout outs to Sean. All right. Take care, guys. Bye.